In the heart of the northern Michigan wilderness, young Helena resides with her parents, Beth and Jacob Holbrook, in their modest cabin. When Beth calls for Helena's return to the cabin, the spirited girl instead seeks out her father, Jacob. Jacob, a seasoned woodsman, imparts invaluable lessons to Helena, teaching her the art of tracking and hunting amidst the dense forest. As they come across a deer, Jacob entrusts Helena with the rifle, but her shot misses, leaving both disappointed and Jacob marking her forearm with a tattoo symbolizing her fail. As Helena's hunting skills progress under Jacob's guidance, she earns more tattoos as markers of her achievements. However, a pivotal moment arises when a lost man stumbles upon their remote abode while Jacob is away. Beth pleads for assistance and attempts to flee with Helena, but the girl is perplexed by her mother's urgency. When Jacob returns and perceives the threat, he eliminates the man from a distance, triggering a frantic escape orchestrated by Beth, who knocks Helena unconscious to ensure their getaway. Regaining consciousness in the sheriff's office, Helena is confronted with startling revelations from Beth, who claims Jacob kidnapped her years ago. Disbelieving her mother's account and calling her mother liar, Helena spots a familiar necklace from the classroom window, prompting her to flee in search of her father. Jacob finds her, endeavoring to flee with her, only to be intercepted and apprehended by the arriving police, ultimately ending his reign of secrecy and control. Years have passed, and Helena is now an adult residing in the peaceful suburbs, where she spends her days working at a desk job. Each morning, she meticulously conceals her facial tattoos with makeup before heading to work. After picking up her daughter Marigold, Helena takes her to a nearby playground to impart knowledge about various bird species and trees. Later, they return home to join Helena's husband, Stephen, for a work picnic. When questioned about her past by Stephen's colleagues, Helena effortlessly weaves a fictional tale. Meanwhile, on the highway, Jacob and another prisoner are being transported in a van when Jacob launches a daring escape attempt, causing chaos and fleeing the scene. Upon returning home, Helena is shocked to find law enforcement officers at her doorstep. Special Agent Illing informs her about Jacob's escape and questions her about any potential contact with him, to which Helena vehemently denies. As the situation unfolds, Stephen discovers a shocking secret about his wife's lineage. Her father is none other than the infamous Marsh King. Feeling betrayed by Helena's secrecy, Stephen grapples with the revelation. Helena immerses herself in the news coverage detailing the tragic circumstances of her birth, where Beth was abducted and later died by suicide due to the trauma she endured. Meanwhile, Stephen takes Marigold to a hotel for the night, leaving Helena alone at home. In a moment of solitude, Helena uncovers a hidden box filled with childhood mementos, including a hunting knife, before venturing into the forest and taking a swim in a secluded lake. As Jacob and another inmate are picked up by an accomplice at a gas station, Sheriff Clark pays a visit to Helena to check on her well-being. He expresses his regret that Beth never had the opportunity to meet Marigold, highlighting the complex dynamics of their family unit post-rescue. Helena confides in Clark about her feelings of not being fully accepted by Beth, who seemed to only see Jacob in her. Clark reassures her that Stephen will understand and forgive her. Upon learning of Jacob's demise in a burnt-out car near the Canadian border, Helena chooses to keep the truth hidden from Stephen, fearing that he would not have married her had he known. However, she eventually opens up to him about her troubled past, narrating the stories behind each of her tattoos. The following day, Helena introduces Stephen and Marigold to Clark, who shares heartwarming tales of Helena's childhood. Clark cautions Helena against romanticizing Jacob's character, reminding her of his appropriation of Native American traditions. A nightmare about Jacob breaking into their home shakes Helena, only for her to discover that the fresh dirt on the floor was actually from Marigold's shoes. At the bustling farmer's market, Helena's attention is caught by the distinct call of a bird. As she turns her gaze towards the sound, she catches a glimpse of a man who bears a striking resemblance to Jacob, walking away in the distance. Determined to find out if it is indeed him, she swiftly chases after him, but unfortunately, he disappears into the sea of people. Frustrated yet undeterred, Helena returns home with a resolute plan in mind. Taking matters into her own hands, Helena sets up a series of traps strategically placed around the perimeter of her house. With each trap carefully positioned, she hopes to uncover any signs of Jacob's presence or intentions. After ensuring her daughter Marigold is safely tucked into bed, Helena's mind drifts back to a memory from her time in the wilderness. She vividly recalls Beth, a dear friend, gifting her a straw doll. Lost in the nostalgia, her thoughts are interrupted by the sound of a bell ringing from one of the traps. Curiosity piqued, Helena wastes no time in investigating the source of the sound. To her dismay, she discovers a lifeless rabbit ensnared in one of the snares. Troubled by this unsettling discovery, she reaches out to Clark, seeking guidance and reassurance. However, his advice to move on only fuels her growing paranoia, especially when she stumbles upon straw dolls mysteriously appearing in Marigold's room. Feeling a sense of urgency, Helena confides in Stephen, expressing her need to take action without divulging the specifics. Determined to face whatever lies ahead, she procures the necessary supplies and embarks on a journey into the wilderness. Navigating through familiar terrain, Helena eventually arrives at her childhood cabin, only to find it abandoned and devoid of life. Just as she begins to question her choices, Jacob unexpectedly appears before her. Addressing her as Little Shadow, a nickname he had affectionately given her, he reveals that he has never ceased keeping tabs on her. Filled with mixed emotions, Jacob expresses his disappointment at not having met Marigold and shares his desire to reunite their family in Canada, reminiscing about the idyllic life they once shared in the wild. However, Helena firmly asserts that she has built a new family and recalls the horrifying memory of witnessing Jacob's attempt to harm Beth. Refusing to accept his version of events, she confronts him, stating that everything she has been told about their past is a lie. In a moment fraught with emotion, Helena summoned the courage to confront her father, Jacob, demanding that he leave and never return to her or their family again. With a heavy heart, Jacob accepted her ultimatum, uttering a resigned, "Okay," before pulling Helena into a tight embrace, their final farewell laden with unspoken words and unshed tears. At the cabin, Helena discovers Clark, who has trailed her. She admits to him that Jacob had been present, but has since vanished. However, Jacob suddenly reappears, shooting and fatally wounding Clark. He then proceeds to throw Helena into a pit, trapping her. Jacob departs, declaring his intention to retrieve Marigold so they can form a family. Despite her predicament, Helena manages to free herself and retrieves Jacob's concealed hunting rifle from the cabin. She pursues Jacob as he flees in a canoe down the river, ultimately shooting him out of the canoe. Continuing her pursuit, Helena tracks Jacob through the wilderness, relying on the lessons he had taught her. Jacob seeks refuge in the marshland and shoots Helena in the leg, coercing her to lead him to the kayak she had used to reach the location. Helena reveals to Jacob that she had always held her mother responsible for everything that had transpired, but now comprehends the truth about Jacob. In a desperate act, Helena and Jacob plunge off a cliff into the river, sustaining severe injuries. Just before Jacob can do the same, Helena retrieves a gun and shoots him in the head, reminding him that she remembers his instruction to always protect her family. Helena then kayaks back to civilization and her loved ones, leaving Jacob's body in the riverbed.